the only thing that's better than owning your own business is helping others own their business.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Behind the Franchise. I'm your host, Paul Ellinger, and we've got our guest, Kristen Pahachik, with us today. Thanks for coming.
Yes, thank you, Paul, for having me. I'm very excited to chat today. It's been great getting to know you, and you're fresh off a trip from Italy. So I think you're probably the most relaxed person.
I'm sun-baked. Yeah. I'm sun-baked. I've rehydrated after all of the Tuscan red wines. So we're good to go. Yeah, no, we're good to go. And yes, thanks again for joining us, Kristen. Kristen's currently the president and CEO of MassageLuXe, but a super interesting background leading up to that. My favorite piece is you kind of did social before doing social was a thing. So maybe just to lay the context for everybody, give us your quick 1-2s on what led you to where you are today, and then we'll dive in and hopefully have some great conversation here.
Yeah, unique journey, but actually one that's kind of full circle in a way.
It made sense a little bit, right?
Yeah.
If you look at it.
Yeah. I certainly didn't plan it that way, but hindsight 2020, it worked out okay. So I've always been super entrepreneurial. I like to build big things and to watch them flourish. And early on, like late days of high school, early days of college, started a business that helped people really set up Facebook accounts. Like it was that easy. But back then, Facebook wasn't a thing. Like we had MySpace, and then to get on Facebook, you had to have a college email address even to get on it. And once they took away that restriction on at that time, which was called the Facebook, took that email restriction away, brands wanted to get on Facebook, but they really didn't know how. And so being that it kind of was my sweet spot in some weird way, I started to help brands get on Facebook, and that evolved into app development on Facebook. So for my legacy Facebookers, there was a moment in time where you could have like your website on your Facebook page. So you'd replicate what was on your website or create a digital web experience, but on your Facebook page. And it ended up really doing well. The business did. And eventually I started working in the professional sports industry. Did some work with the Minnesota Swarm, which was professional lacrosse, then hopped over to the Wild a little bit. And then ultimately my biggest client was the Vikings. And there was a point in my business tenure where they were accounting for about 40% of my revenue. I was on retainer with them, working with them on their social media. And they came to me and said, Kristen, we've got to hire a social media team, which means our business is going away. And I was like, wait, I can't
No.
And so I actually ended up going full time with them, which was an awesome experience early on in life, pre-kids, working in football. It was
cool as heck.
Awesome. Yeah, it was so cool. It was such a sweet gig. And then I became a mom, and I said, oh my gosh, I can't be on the road 24/7.
Right.
And what I will tell you is, while it was a cool gig, it really truly didn't matter how good I was at my job, because the only thing that mattered was how good the team was on Sunday. And so if you weren't very good on Sunday, you had the worst digital strategy in the world. And if you were good, then you had the best.
Right.
Being a Packer fan,
Wait, you were a Packer fan this whole time?
Yes,
I didn't know that.
It's amazing what people do for money, Paul. I mean,
I was going to say, wow, did they know that? That's the real question.
Not an uncommon question to be asked. Actually, a lot of people in professional sports love other sports teams. And I mean, even the players.
I could imagine. It's a career. Yeah,
totally. You're playing and loving the team, and you get drafted by a different team. So, but the thing is, it was such a reactionary position. There was no strategy. It was really just reacting to what happened that week or in that season and pivoting accordingly. And I was looking for more of a plan and a strategy, and fell in love with franchising because of the Vikings. Little known fact, Vikings, franchisor, NFL, and ended up going to Anytime Fitness, which then turned into Self-Esteem Brands, which then turned into Purpose Brands. But Anytime Fitness, when I started, had about 2,000 locations. So they were, established. But when
Yeah.
I left, they had 5,041 countries.
Bit
So it
more
was like,
established.
yes, massive
Yeah.
opportunity to grow with a really big brand. But the
Hmm.
other cool thing is they bought up a bunch of smaller brands in franchising. And so I led a shared service team that serviced all the brands, right? And
Hmm.
so I worked on really small brands. I worked on the Mammoth brand and really found my purpose in franchising there because to me, the
Yeah.
only thing that's better than owning your own business is helping others own their business.
Yeah.
And so I had a cool role. I had a role that was kind of blended in terms of consumer marketing and franchise development marketing
Interesting.
that
Yeah.
ended up kind of propelling me into my next role, which was at MassageLuXe. I'm still currently at MassageLuXe. But I was brought on as chief growth officer, which
Mm.
again was this cool blend between
Yeah.
B2B and B2C.
Make everything go up and right, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then about 18 months ago, took over as president and CEO
Yeah.
there, and we're just about to pass 100 units. So we're in a
Heck yeah.
really exciting time. Yeah.
I saw just today you announced a couple franchisees in Atlanta expanding.
Yes. Yeah. So
Congratulations.
one of our franchise owners, thank you, there decided to open 2 more. So that's, it's cool
Love
to
that.
bring in new franchisees, but when your current franchisees are growing with you,
It's a
that's
testament.
really,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's a testament. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the overcap of the journey. Always fascinating. Always, I've had a weird career, so I'm always interested to justify my career by hearing other people have weird things happen in their career. Yeah, and I think really starting it off, like we do social every day, and you've had an interesting background in social, so would love to start there.
Sure.
Being there before people had a Facebook page to today, I would
Mhm.
argue some people are still strategically here and not caught up yet.
Yeah.
But what are you seeing? What was it like being that early? How have you leveraged that early expertise and success into what you're doing today?
Yeah, it's evolved so much.
Hmm.
And it's continually evolving. I think that we went from having no thought and idea behind content, no production, no
Mm.
creation with our content just kind of flying by the seat of our pants to like overly producing
Oh yeah,
content and
millennials were responsible for that. I believe we really pushed that whole thing, and we're bringing it back though.
no, yes, exactly. And so what's new today is that everything that we've done over the past decade in terms of overproduced content is being reeled back. And now it's the authenticity and the
Hmm.
personalization that's really coming through. And, that's great because it means no more full fledged video crews producing social content and having it be
Yeah.
a little bit more authentic.
Yep.
And so I'm loving what I am seeing. I'm all for it. I want the behind the curtain view, unstaged, unedited view of what's going on in brands and people's lives.
Yeah. When you think about your social strategy and when you think about how your franchisees are a part of that, how much are you pushing that? Of like, hey, people
Yeah.
want to see your team, they want to see the experience, and they don't want to see it from the cleaned up national version. They want your version. Like, are you pushing that as a strategy? How do you enable
Yes.
that?
Yeah. So the hardest thing about being a franchisor as it relates to social media is we're not
Mm,
in our locations. And I think a lot of people
correct.
feel this when they're listening, right?
Hmm.
We're in offices and cubicles. And
Yep.
so it really is up to our franchisees to produce that authentic content. And while us as the franchisor, we're giving franchisees social media content that they can use part of the time, right?
Hmm.
The graphics, the Monday motivationals, the here's my services, all of those
Oh
things.
yeah.
That really is just filler content.
Yep.
And the real magic happens when they pick up their phones or they empower their staff to pick up their phones and show services and personalities and products and all of those things. So we produce a calendar every month that gives them ideas as
Hmm.
as to how to bring that into their spa and to life, but we can't do it for them.
Yeah.
So actually, if you go to our MassageLuXe social accounts, they're not that good. They're not that good. Our franchisees do a great job, but our
Yeah.
corporate accounts, because we don't have the ability to do that ourselves, at least
Yeah.
right
Sure.
now, it's not something to brag about. We just recently launched, though, a contest where a franchisee will kind of take over our social media accounts for a month and
Account
send us,
takeovers.
yeah, send us the content and all of that. And then the franchisee that has the best engagement, we're going to nominate 12 of them. The one that has the best will get a big prize at the end. But that's a
Yeah.
way for us to get the great content without actually having to be in the spas.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
It's our primary philosophy at Flamel, and what I try to sell is your franchisees creating media are two things: it's user generated content and it's earned media value. Because the more they're exposing your brand, the better for the national brand, right? And so that is the philosophy I push all the time. So I love hearing that I'm not crazy. Thank you.
Well, if you are, then I am too, and misery loves company. So.
Let's be crazy together. Yeah, it's all good. That's awesome. No, I fully think that's true. And I think one of the things we see with franchisees is I always relate it to going to the gym. Like, to get them to start doing social media is really uncomfortable. They're scared. They don't want people to judge them. They'll put a couple posts up and get no likes. It's just defeating. But if you beat the drum and you're consistent and you go 2, 3, 4 times a week and you do it every week, like, the audience builds, the engagement builds. How much of that for you is really just coaching that? It's coaching this idea that, hey, consistency matters.
Yeah, it's all of that.
Yeah.
And what I often tell my team, and I don't remember who told me this, but some legend in franchising said this, and it's kind of one of those things that I continually beat with my team. Just about the time that you get sick of saying it, they're hearing it for the first time. And I think that is like franchising summed up in a nutshell, right?
Sure,
Or
yeah.
children too. I'm like, just about the time I get sick of telling my child something, they're just now hearing it, right?
You're just like,
And so it is just about that consistency of reminding franchise owners who have, by the way, a million things to do.
yeah,
So, we're not naive to the fact that there's a lot going on in business, but reminding them that if they can't do it and if they can't prioritize it, then they need to find somebody in their spa that can. And the reality is many of my franchise owners have, 18 to 25-year-old females working behind the desk where, they're on
perfect
TikTok
person.
all the time, right? Exactly.
Yeah. Again, you've got this unique view. What do you think franchise brands just aren't getting right about social media still? Like, you've kind of seen the evolution. Like, I think you're obviously pushing the things that will work, the user generated side. What do you think people aren't leveraging yet to their advantage?
I don't think that it's ignorance towards the importance of being on TikTok, for example, or Instagram.
Sure.
I think franchise brands struggle to, you brought up earned media value, which is a great way to do this, by the way, but struggle to land on a return on investment from organic content that gives them enough of a reason to hire somebody to do it.
Yeah.
And so it's honestly surprisingly kind of where we still were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I mean, we all can see very clearly when you do paid social what the return is. But when you do organic social, it's a little bit more difficult. And I think Instagram in particular has made it more difficult because of the lack of viralness that comes with that platform. And now with the resurgence of brands getting on TikTok and really pushing more of a viral social media channel, there's a little bit easier of a measure there. So I think that the staff, in order to do it, definitely a challenge, and when to get on what platform, because there's also something to be said about brands that are early adopters who jump too soon into something and perhaps it doesn't pick up in the way that they thought it would. So it's a little bit of a balance of an art to figure out how innovative do you want to be while still making sure that you're spending time on something that's going to stick.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think overextension, like being on every platform, if it doesn't suit your brand or fit your brand, kills it, right? Because then you just have these dead pages everywhere that never really picked up traction, and it's really hard to keep up with.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally agree. The earned media value thing is something I've been thinking a lot about. I want to call it FEMV, like franchisee earned media value, because it really is that. The more you can get a franchisee to create or post or do any form of content, it's just free brand value. It's just good for everybody.
So when I was at Self-Esteem Brands, in order to calculate that for the franchisees, what we would do is take a standard CPM that we would see on a Facebook ad.
Yeah.
And we would actually create that earned media value off of that CPM for the franchisee to say, hey, listen, social media last month got you $10,000 in earned media, you would have had to, for the same number of eyeballs, you would have had to put $10,000 out in Facebook ads to get that. Like,
Yeah,
it's worth
guys,
it.
we did not coordinate this beforehand. Kristen, I just put a calculator out last month on Flamel's blog to calculate that yourself. So go check it out, people. Thank you for the free opportunity to talk about that. Not at all coordinated. Thank you. Anyway, a little bit of a transition. So I really want to talk about becoming a brand president, like being the CEO of a brand, but coming at it from your background, right? Like, I think there's a lot of ways to get to that role, finance, ops, and you coming from the marketing side gives you a different perspective, right? And so I'm curious, like, what your background has done for you from there, and what kind of different lens you may take as a CEO because of it.
Yeah, I've actually done a lot of self-reflection on this because, and I was actually talking to a group of colleagues and franchise friends like a month ago, and this question kind of got brought up, and it's weird for me because when I first took over the role 18 months ago, I had a little bit of an identity crisis because I'd always been a marketer.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, am I not a marketer?
What am I?
Right? And then you
Yeah.
like start to think, because it is more of an untraditional path to CEO or president. And what I would tell you about my background and why I truly believe that it positions me perfectly for this role is that my whole career has been about communication.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Marketing is communicating, whether you're doing that to a B2B client or a B2C client or internally, like, that is what it is. And to be a franchise CEO, that has to be your number one strength, because we are selling a partnership, and you have to have somebody who is positioned to use data and to communicate initiatives and data to franchise operators so that you can build that trust.
Yeah.
In turn, then building their brand and your brand in conjunction. And so, if I had to say, like, what's the one thing that makes me a strong leader of a brand, it would be the ability to communicate and to sell this vision. One that's backed by data and by repetition and by a great team and a support and a brand. Like, all those things have to be there. But then you need to empower your franchisees, have them trust you, sell the vision and the common goal so that we can all do the right thing. And that is marketing in itself. And, all of that is there and has to be paired with, legal knowledge, financial knowledge, operational knowledge, all of which I feel like MassageLuXe in the last 5 years has given me a really good exposure to, or like, involvement in. And so I've kind of been able to pair all of that together and, bring forward a little bit of a different leadership style.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. So my background was I was a biomedical engineer getting out of college, and for me the challenge was developing that. Right, it's like I believe I can solve any problem, I can figure anything out, but learning how to communicate that is what actually matters. Right, where it's like you may have the most perfect, beautiful solution that anybody's ever thought of. They don't know how to do it, or if they never heard of it, it just really doesn't matter. Right, and it's definitely the key, especially when you're selling to consumers and to franchise partners.
I think that's really good. One of the organizations that I'm involved in that I love, love, love is called the Flaherty Family Foundation. Okay. And what it does is it takes scholarships for those in the inner city schools and helps get them into privatized education if they're in an area where education's not great. But in order to keep your scholarship there, you have to take a series of soft skill courses and career exploration courses. And so through that, like, the importance of soft skills is something that's so overlooked, especially when you talk about kids who are in early education or in high school. And soft skills are so much more important than hard skills, in my opinion, for what we do. Like, if you're a doctor,
you can learn how to read financials, right? You can learn how to build an operations manual. You can do all that stuff. Selling the vision's a whole nother challenge.
Yeah. So those parents that are listening to this, like, teach your kids some soft skills, right? Teamwork, communication, public speaking, problem solving, critical thinking. Those are the things that they're going to need in their career, no matter what they do. And unfortunately, those are the things that are taught the least in, public education. So
Makes a ton of sense. And in a previous episode we did with Brooke Budke, so she used to be brand
I
president.
love Brooke.
Okay. So you know Brooke, obviously. Everybody does. Anybody who's talked to her just leaves with that same impression. I'm of the same milk. One of the things she really talked about was coming from marketing. You really understand the customer because all you're doing is profiling the customer. All you're doing is understanding what they care about, who they are, why they are the way they are, all of that stuff. And it really allows you to apply that to all the other parts of the organization. Is that something that you feel like also comes through with your background, like in what you do today?
Totally, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if you understand the customer, then you can build the brand to appeal to the customer. And in franchising, again, we have two customers, right? We've got the clients that our franchisees serve, but we have our franchisees who are number one. And it goes for both of those cases. You have to understand the people that you are trying to appeal to and what is going to get them to buy into your vision.
Yeah, yeah. It makes a ton of sense. And kind of building off of that, like buying into a vision. So this is actually something I've thought a lot about personally, where it's like Flamel, right? I started the business, so it's really easy and natural for me to lead the business. Stepping in to be the CEO is a whole different challenge. It's one I've never taken on. But you've got an existing team. You've got this other person who kind of was the actual lead and the founder and all of that.
Yeah.
Was that a challenging thing? Obviously, you probably had a little bit of an unlock with the years beforehand, but what were some of the challenges / positives of your experiences kind of stepping into that leadership role into a brand that already existed?
Yeah, it's funny. When I got the position, some of my mentors and people that I've been connected with, they would say things like, congratulations and condolences.
Yeah, that's funny.
They're like, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And I'm like, oh.
It's real though. It's absolutely true. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the biggest adjustment is that the CEO can be a lonely position to be in.
Yeah.
Right? Because no longer do you have a internal and organizational peer group that you can talk to about all the things going on. Now, of course, I have an amazing C-suite, amazing leadership team. I can talk to them about a lot of what's going on, but at the end of the day, there are things that I can't talk to them about, number one. And number two, the responsibility of being that final call is a heavy one. And so, I love my role. I love the company. I don't get as much sleep as I once did. Thankfully, I have a great owner who's a great support system and great franchisees. And I've loved it, but it has been an adjustment. It's something that it's funny because you work your whole life towards something and then you get that role and you're like, oh,
here we are. Yeah. I think for me personally, decision fatigue is a thing, right? Mm-hmm. When it's like you end up feeling like you have to make all those decisions. The way I always try to get out of it, not get out of it, but is like delegation, empower people to make decisions for you. But at the end of the day, you're still making a ton of freaking decisions, right? How does that weigh on you? How do you go about managing that, getting through that on a day-to-day? Or do you feel it at all? Maybe I'm just bad at it, you know?
I do, but generally I'm pretty good at making decisions at work. I've got this vision and I know what to do, and I like listen to my intuition, my gut, and then obviously what is being fed to me to make the decision. Where I get decision fatigue is like outside of work. Then when I'm done with work, I'm like,
dinner, it's just, this is dinner. There is no options.
Exactly. And actually, I don't ever go to a restaurant. Like I'm talking 95% of the time when I go to a restaurant and the server says,
look up the menu.
Yeah. But no, I just say, you just bring me what you think I'd like. Same with food. You just bring me what you think I'd like. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I make way too many damn decisions during the day to care about what food I eat. Like, put it in front of me. I'm sure it'll be great. Let me just eat.
It's one of those things. It's like the externalities of running a company that you're not aware of until you get in the seat, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. My wife and I, it's one of our biggest struggles because she runs her own business as well. And so now we're like a 2 business owner household, and it's like deciding what we're going to eat for the week is like pulling freaking teeth. Like it's like we just built a spreadsheet that has all the meals we like to cook, and we just pull one. We just say, okay, pick one. Just pick one.
I like it. We should do that.
Yeah, no, I'm just weird. I like spreadsheets. So you went over your history. You're in this role now as the leader. And the brand is smaller than the brands you had worked with previously, right? To a degree of scale. What did you take from those experiences with self-esteem and the scale of some of their brands and brought it down to MassageLuXe versus what's maybe unique about those two experiences?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that just like working for any boss that you have, like you take the good and you
Sure.
take the bad and you apply it to, your next scenario.
Yep.
And at Self-Esteem Brands, what I believe they did really, really well was partnering with their franchisees and putting in processes and operating procedures to make things go faster and to make things scale. And when I got to MassageLuXe, being that it was a smaller brand, there wasn't a lot of that standardization or that process in place. And that was kind of the first step is like, okay, as we scale this brand from 50 to 100 to 150 to 200 plus, right? You need to have some processes and standard operating procedures and such in place in order to make sure that that scales efficiently.
Yep.
And there are some brands that get way too caught up in processes and it ends up slowing them down. There's a happy medium there where you have enough process and repetition in place so that it goes fast, but it doesn't feel stale.
Yeah.
And I think that my job at Self-Esteem Brands perfectly positioned me to go to an emerging brand, which, by the way, I love emerging brands and I want to stay in that space forever because a lot of emerging brands don't do it right. They operate in a way that's not going to help them scale.
Sure.
And as a result, a lot of emerging brands don't succeed, right? 16% of brands make it past 100 units.
Right.
There are two reasons that happens. Either number one, their system hasn't been built to scale, or number two, they've sold their locations too fast and don't have enough royalty sufficiency to get them open.
Yeah.
And so luckily when I started at MassageLuXe, it was royalty sufficient. So that was already, accomplished. And now it's just about making sure that everything that we're doing can scale to a larger franchise base.
Yeah. There's more open ocean to explore into, right? With the emerging side of things. It's like, whereas, Anytime Fitness still growing, obviously doing the thing, but it's like a bit more of a playbook, it's a mathematical formula to figure out what to do next, right?
Totally. Well, and to your ocean analogy, like that's a big ship to turn. That takes a long
Sure,
time.
Yeah.
So,
one degree a year, right?
Exactly. Whereas, we can whip our speedboat around left and right, and
for better or worse. That's also the downside of it, right?
I'm a speed demon, so like I'm gonna choose the speedboat, and we're gonna get stuff done real fast.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. What you kind of talked about systems, right? And I totally agree. Like we talk about it all the time with Flamel, where it's like there's times and places for systems, right? Because sometimes creating that system is actually going to limit our growth and make us less creative. And so we want some of these inefficiencies that feel like pain right now. Yeah. What were kind of the systems that when you came into MassageLuXe that you were like, hey, we need this. This is an essential system for growth. Like if, somebody else is coming into a brand around your size, what do you recommend as like, get these in place?
Yeah, so a couple of things. Kind of in large buckets. Website presence. That was one of the first projects that we had to do. Like, hey, we need a solid website. We need online booking. We need online purchasing, all things that they didn't have in place at the time.
Sure.
But that's really what propelled then our ability to advertise effectively. And so it kind of
need a place to target.
Need a solid place to send people to.
Yep.
Putting in a solid digital strategy from an advertising perspective, and then CRM. So it's kind of been like a staged approach again. So then building out our CRM, which is actually powered by our point of sale system so that we have a central data warehouse, which is great.
Yep.
And then next up is mobile apps. So that's what we're rolling and working on this year. And then following that is loyalty. So, these building blocks that take a while to build on top of each other. And again, from a marketer's point of view, very easy to kind of build out that roadmap given the background to be able to say, here are the systems and processes we need in order to support this.
Yeah, because really what you're doing is you're opening up more marketing channels, right? Like the more you can do that, the more places you can pull people from and point them to where you want them to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
Makes a ton of sense. You've come into MassageLuXe. You're now in this the management role, the number one role. where's it going? What are you excited about over the next 5 years? Like, what are the big decisions you're maybe stressing about today that'll take you guys to the future?
Yeah, so the future is bright, which is exciting. Again,
Yeah.
we're going to pass 100 units here in the next 60 days or so, which is great. Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Milestone.
I know. Yeah. And what's really cool about that is that, 66% of our owners own multiple locations, and 40%
It's
of our
awesome.
growth over the last 3 years has been from existing owners. And
Mm.
so the way that I see this franchise growing is twofold. We've got a
Yeah.
ton of interest externally from new prospects, but we also
Yeah.
have franchise owners that are, looking at their third, fourth, fifth, ninth location.
Yeah.
And so it's super cool to see that growth on the horizon.
Yeah.
And we've got some really big projects that we're working on. Like I said, that app, that loyalty, like that's going to be really fun stuff to work on. And I
Yeah.
want to see this brand grow big so that everyone knows who MassageLuXe is and what we're all about. It's cool because I've been lucky enough the past 10 years to work in health and wellness franchises. And
Mhm.
there's one thing about, obviously, like we all want to make money. That's number one.
We do
Um,
business for profit. Correct. Yeah.
money. But what's cool is the purpose behind just franchising in general, which all my
Yep.
franchise friends feel, which is empowering entrepreneurs to build their
Mm.
own businesses. But then if you're in a franchise that also makes a difference in the local communities, then you've got like this twofold purpose thing going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
That's really cool. We do a member of the year campaign in which everybody who is a member at MassageLuXe sends in why they get massages or facials at our locations, and we end up, choosing a member of the year that gets a
Yeah.
year-long membership. Yada yada yada. You've heard the song and dance, but what it does is really reinforce, like, hey, we're making differences. People are struggling with chronic pain, fibromyalgia, anxiety,
Mhm.
depression, you name it, and
Yeah.
they're using our brand to make their lives better, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Healthcare's awesome for that reason, right? It's
Yeah.
just you get to be good people while still making money. You get to be the white hat cowboy, right?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. We'll take it.
yeah, I think with that, right? How do you play that out across the brand, right? So it's clear it's part of the mission, right? And so it's going to
Mhm.
be a part of every decision. But sometimes I feel like that can get lost in day to day, right? It can get lost
Yeah.
in operations. It can get lost in finance. Like, how do you try to induce that in everyday decision making across the entire company?
Yeah, well, I mean, we can say all day long, we make a difference and we're great and we're different because of X. And the
Yeah.
reality is, if the client doesn't feel that, to your point, then it's
Hmm.
not true.
Yeah.
When I started at MassageLuXe, this is the marketer in me that's going to come out for a second. When I started at MassageLuXe, I interviewed like everybody I could. I spent a ton of
Sure.
time
Yeah.
with them. I'm like, what makes this brand different? And everyone
Mm.
just kept saying it just is different. And I'm like, that's not good enough. I need my 3 pillars
Right.
of differentiation. Like, I need to put it on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And what I realized is that it's not one single thing, and
Mm.
there are a lot of things that lead to a differentiation. And what our team often says is that the difference between walking into a MassageLuXe and a competitor is the difference between walking into a Walmart and a Target. Both mass merchant
Interesting.
retailers, both selling the same thing, relatively the same price.
Yep.
But all the things that Target does makes it a significantly different experience than Walmart, and you can't really just pick out a few.
Yep.
But if I'm forced to, like when people walk into a MassageLuXe, everybody stands up, they greet you by name,
Mm.
they walk you back to your lounge where you can relax before your service. Our
Mm.
memberships are the most flexible in the industry, no contracts, no enrollment fees. We want it to be
Interesting.
easy for our clients to do business with us. Like everybody's
Yeah.
been stuck in that nasty contract. It
Right.
sucks.
Right.
And then our spas are just built different. We are kind of in this attainable luxury positioning where
Mm.
you're going to feel like you're walking into a day spa. It's not
Yeah.
going to have like the doctor clinical feel. It's a spa.
Yeah.
But you can do that while you are dropping your kid off at soccer,
Yeah.
right? Go treat yourself, get back to them, make this about your health and wellness routine, make it a part of your life,
Yeah.
not necessarily just a part of a special event like a bridal shower.
Yeah. I am so bullish on attainable luxury. Like I feel
Yeah.
like as like the macro economy kind of pinches the middle class, people are looking for those experiences where they're like, hey, we're both professionals in this relationship. We should be able to do nice things. We've earned it, but we may not have actual disposable income for pure luxury, right? For the 5-star experience, that's thousands and thousands of dollars. And meeting them at that point, I feel like is next 10, 15, 20 years is going to be huge. Like I love that.
I think you're absolutely right. I really think that middle experience is going to flourish.
Yeah.
And like again, we are only getting busier. So not only from a price point do you need to be attainable, but you also need to be attainable from a time perspective, right?
Yeah.
Time and
Yep.
efficiency, as well as effectiveness. So
Yeah. You kind of brought it up, like being a part of your health and wellness routine. When you think about your customer, how much do you see yourself in that customer, and how much do you try to implement those strategies and those philosophies, so that you're doing the same things you're trying to tout people to?
oh my gosh, I am that customer, right?
Yeah.
I am the person who like is busy running around all over the place, wants to be healthy, wants to take care of myself, but it's got to fit in with my life, not the
Right.
other way around.
Right.
And so I think, the great thing about massage is that the target market is gigantic for it, right? And we do
Yeah.
facials too. So, I say this and I'm talking to a broad audience in that, you can treat yourself
Yeah.
in a health and wellness oriented way with time that doesn't have to be elongated, like not an all day situation.
Yeah.
And so we want it to be easy for a client to do business with us. That's why our memberships are structured the way that they are. But we also want it to be something that fits into their lives.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You kind of built on this again. It's becoming a part of that routine in an easy, simple way. Does that guide business partnership? Are you partnering with fitness studios, gyms, mental health practitioners, things of that
Yeah.
nature?
Yeah. So that happens at the franchisee level
Hmm.
often. And we highly encourage our
Yeah.
franchisees to do that where, especially if they're in a center with an Orange Theory or something like that, right? It's a
Makes
membership
sense.
based business you can partner with and both benefit from. So we're all about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes a ton of sense.
Mhm.
Um, And then something else I always like to talk about is, we've really talked into the brand, the culture, why it is like it is. How do you induce that at the franchisee level, right? How do you, especially as you're growing bigger and bigger and bigger, how do you maintain that? How do we make sure that that experience is the same? If I walk into a MassageLuXe in this state or this state, this coast or that coast.
Yeah, it's not one singular way, right? Again, some of all things that make the difference. And I think that it probably kicks off with the relationship that I and the team have with the franchisee, right?
Hmm.
Um, and that starts day one from the
Yeah.
moment that they're inquiring about a MassageLuXe. I believe in authentic leadership and trust and transparency. I know that I need to be acquainted with you or friends with you before we start to build that relationship from a
Yeah.
business perspective. And that's really important. I want my franchisees to know who we are,
Hmm.
not just in business, but in life, because you don't want to do business with somebody that you don't know.
Yeah.
And then that kind of trickles down, right, to the
Mm.
client experience. Kind of the same thing. If you're walking into a business, you're really not acknowledged, you're not feeling like they're excited to have you, the
Yeah.
chances of you going back aren't going to be great. As
Sure.
long as my team can continue to provide high service to our franchisees, that trickles down into how the franchisees treat their employees, which
Mm.
then trickles down to the clients.
Yeah. Makes a ton of sense. Starts at the top and works its way down.
It does.
Always like to, next section, some quick hitters. Give me the first thoughts that come into your mind. 10-second
Yeah.
answers. How's
Okay.
that sound?
Yes, let's do it.
I was gonna ask, what's your favorite NFL team? No, I'm kidding.
Go back up.
Favorite social platform right now?
TikTok. I get my
Brand?
news. Yes.
Say
And
what?
I get my news, my ChatGPT hacks, like all of it. Yes.
See, I read I'm gonna make this slow real quick. The thing that worries me about that is that I read this study about the amount of people getting medical advice off of TikTok, and it was worrisome.
Yeah.
Very worrisome. What brand that you think is crushing it right now that's not MassageLuXe?
Oh, this is such a good one. I am gonna go, but it's so cliche. My answer, Stanley Cup. Ugh.
Yeah, fair. What advice would you give a younger marketer today that also wants to become a CEO?
Face it till you make it. Not fake it till you make it. Face it until you make it.
Wait, okay. An additional 10 seconds. What do you mean?
All right. So I used to say fake it till you make it all the time because it's okay that you don't know exactly what you're doing. None of us do. We just make educated guesses that happen
Sure.
to be right most of the time because we have more education to put into them.
Yeah.
But I don't like fake it till you make it because you're not really faking it.
You're still doing a
It's
thing.
exactly facing it till you make it, meaning go after it and it will work itself out as long as you are pulling in the right people and the right information in order to do the job.
Love it. I'm going to steal that now. Thank you for that. And then final one. What's something most people don't know about you?
Ooh, I played hockey. I was like,
Hockey.
good at it too. Yeah.
I guess you've got the accent for it, you know.
So I live in Wisconsin, spent a portion of my childhood in Canada. And yeah, played hockey. At one point, I had the most goals and the most penalty minutes in the state of Wisconsin, and I wear that crown proudly.
So you're just a bruiser out there.
Yes.
I love it.
You know, it's kind of like to mess around and find out.
All right, beautiful. That's all I got. Last section, always like to give you the podium. Talk about whatever you want, probably MassageLuXe. Where can they find you? What should they be excited about next? What's on the horizons?
Awesome. Okay, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Kristen Pachacek, Pechacek. And MassageLuXe.com is where you go to find out more about our brands. Like I said, we're growing. Come celebrate the 100th location with us on my LinkedIn page. We'll be live streaming it. Happening.
Oh, hell yeah. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Of course,
I love that.
Thank you. Yes. And yeah, connect. I'd love to hear from you all.
Beautiful. Well, Kristen, thank you so much for being on the show. It was a really fun one. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And everybody else, thank you for listening to another episode of Behind the Franchise. We always appreciate it, and we'll talk to you at the next one. So see y'all later.